All right, so today we're diving into one of those books that, well, it stayed with me, and I know it stayed with a lot of people.
It's one of those books that you read in high school, and it just stays in the back of your mind forever.
Exactly. Like, sometimes those assigned readings, you're kind of like, do I have to? But 1984 is not one of those books.
Absolutely not.
It's funny because when you think about it, it was written, what, like 75 years ago now?
More, I think it was published in 49, so yeah.
Yeah, so almost 80 years ago.
Yeah, getting close.
But it feels so relevant, even more so now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
With everything that's going on and all this talk of surveillance and,
The information control and, yeah.
Exactly. So we've got a ton of great material to go through today. Analyses,
Yeah.
essays, historical context, you name it.
Sounds like we're going deep.
Yeah, a real deep dive, you know what I mean? So
Right.
let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
So 1984, it's set in this totalitarian state called Oceania, right? Where Big Brother's always watching.
Always watching.
But it's not just cameras, right? It's like this feeling, this sense of being watched all the time that just permeates everything.
Exactly. And Orwell does such a brilliant job of creating this atmosphere of oppression, like right from the beginning. We see London, it's in ruins.
Right.
But it's not just the physical decay. It's like the decay of the human spirit under this constant scrutiny.
Yeah, and that sets the stage for Winston, right?
Winston.
Our protagonist.
Yeah, he's struggling.
And those party slogans everywhere, like, war is peace, freedom is slavery. I mean, it's just so disturbing, yet the citizens just accept it.
Well, this is where the concept of doublethink comes in. And it's so important in the book.
Yeah, explain that a little bit.
So doublethink, it's not just brainwashing. It's this ability to hold two completely contradictory beliefs at the same time.
Like cognitive dissonance or something?
Kind of, but even more extreme because you actually believe both things.
Wow.
And it's how the party manipulates reality. They rewrite history, they control the narrative, and it's all based on this idea of doublethink.
So you think that happens in real life, too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about how certain governments try to control the narrative around events.
Yeah.
Even when there's evidence that contradicts their claims.
It's scary to think about.
It is. It makes you wonder how susceptible we are to this kind of manipulation,
It's like that saying, repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth.
Right, exactly.
And then there's newspeak, right?
Newspeak.
The party's attempt to control language itself.
It's one of the most chilling aspects of the book, I think.
It is.
Because think about how language shapes our understanding of the world. If you eliminate words like freedom or rebellion, can those concepts even exist anymore?
It's like they're erasing those ideas completely.
Exactly. And, it's so relevant in the digital age.
Yeah.
Where information is so easily manipulated. And think about algorithms and echo chambers and all of that.
It's giving me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
So we've got this oppressive setting, right? This warped reality. And then we meet Winston Smith, our protagonist.
Yeah?
He seems pretty ordinary at first, but he keeps a secret diary.
Big no-no.
Oh, yeah. And his first entry, down with Big Brother.
What a statement, right?
What a gutsy move. I mean, in a world like that.
It's incredibly risky, but it shows that even in the most oppressive system, that human desire for freedom, for individual thought, it can still persist.
It's like a tiny flicker of rebellion.
Exactly.
But it's dangerous, right? There are telescreens everywhere, even in people's homes.
Always watching, listening.
And then the thought police always listening for the slightest hint of, any unorthodox thought.
It makes you wonder about the boundaries of privacy. If someone is constantly watching, can you ever truly be yourself?
And it's not even just the authorities, right?
Well,
it's like the party has created this atmosphere of distrust. Like children are encouraged to spy on their parents.
like the Parsons Winston's neighbors.
Exactly. It's chilling.
It really is. It's a classic example of how totalitarian regimes break down trust, turning even the most intimate relationships into tools of surveillance.
It's like everyone's a potential informant.
Exactly. You never know who to trust.
And then there's Sam Winston's colleague who works on the Newspeak dictionary.
Simon. He's such a fascinating character.
He's almost too enthusiastic about eliminating words.
He's a true believer.
Yeah.
And I think he embodies a chilling truth.
What's that?
That blind obedience isn't enough for the party.
Oh, wow.
They demand complete intellectual submission, like independent thought. Even intelligence itself becomes dangerous.
It's like they want to create a society of robots.
In a way, yes. And it makes you wonder what happens to a society that actively discourages critical thinking.
Right. What happens to innovation to progress?
Exactly.
So we have Winston trapped in this web of surveillance and manipulation, yearning for freedom, but also kind of drawn to this mysterious woman, Julia.
Right. Julia, who he suspects is a thought police agent at first.
Yeah, but there's something about her that just pulls him in.
She represents something dangerous, something forbidden.
And their connection really highlights how the party tries to control even the most personal aspects of life, right?
Absolutely. By suppressing love and desire, they aim to redirect those powerful emotions towards Big Brother and the state.
It's like they're trying to dehumanize people.
In a way, yes.
So we've got Winston in this really tough spot. He's surrounded by fear and paranoia. But he's also starting to feel this connection with Julia.
It's a dangerous game he's playing.
Oh, yeah. And we know things in Oceania rarely end well.
That's for sure.
Okay, so last time we left off with Winston, starting to feel this connection with Julia, but also super paranoid about everything.
Right. Like, can he trust her? Is she a spy? Is she going to turn him in? I mean, it's
intense.
Yeah, super intense. And, at the same time, Winston kind of fascinated by the proles.
Yeah, the pro.
The working class who seem like they're less affected by the party's control, well, at least on the surface.
Yeah. Yeah, he sees them as this kind of, force for potential change. Like maybe they hold the key to overthrowing Big Brother.
Right, exactly. He romanticizes them a little bit, sees them as more authentic, more human.
And he even tries to talk to this old man in a pub, right?
Yeah, hoping to get some glimpse of what life was like before Big Brother, before the party took over.
Like some kind of oral history.
Exactly. But the old man's stories are more about, beer and pubs and...
Yeah, mundane stuff.
Everyday life, not really about politics or history or anything like that.
Which is kind of the point, right?
Exactly. It shows how effectively the party has erased history. Like, if you don't have a collective memory of the past, how can you even imagine a different future?
It's like they've rewritten reality.
Completely. And that's one of the most terrifying aspects of the book, I think.
It is, and it makes you think about, what's happening in the world today with misinformation and propaganda.
Absolutely. It's more relevant than ever.
So Winston's search for the past leads him to this antique shop, right?
Mr. Charrington's shop.
Yeah, and he buys this beautiful glass paperweight.
Oh, the paperweight.
With a piece of coral inside. It's like this little piece of the past preserved.
Right, and it becomes this really important symbol in the book.
It does.
Because it represents beauty and history and individual expression, all the things that the party is trying to destroy,
And it's fragile.
Very fragile, just like Winston's hopes and dreams.
Exactly. And there's this room above the shop.
The secret room.
Without a telescreen.
A sanctuary.
A place where Winston can finally be himself.
At least for a little while.
But we know that feeling of safety is an illusion, right?
Oh, yeah. In 1984, there's always a catch.
Always. And just before that bubble bursts, there's this moment where Winston sees Julia again.
Oh, yeah, after leaving the shop.
And he's convinced she's following him.
That she's part of the thought police.
The paranoia is just so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Right. It shows how the party has created this atmosphere of constant suspicion and distrust. Like, you can't even trust your own feelings, your own attraction to another person.
It's messed up.
It really is. And, on top of all that, Winston has this old book he bought from Mr. Charrington.
Right, the book that supposedly explains how the party maintains its power.
The forbidden knowledge.
But is it real? Is it a trap?
That's the question, isn't it?
So we're left with Winston kind of teetering on the edge. He's drawn to Julia, he's got this forbidden knowledge, and he's desperate for some kind of hope.
But he's also in danger more than he realizes.
Oh, yeah, way more. And we know things are about to get a whole lot worse. Last time we left, Winston and Julia, holed up in that secret room above Mr. Charrington's shop, feeling like they had, carved out this little space of freedom.
Yeah, but we knew it couldn't last.
Oh, no. 1984, happiness is like,
fleeting.
Yeah, fleeting. It's like doomed from the start.
And it's almost painful to revisit that part of the book.
Yeah.
Knowing what's coming.
Yeah.
That feeling of hope, the intimacy they share, it makes the betrayal even more devastating.
Oh, yeah, because of course they're not alone that moment when the voice comes from behind the painting revealing the hidden telescreen.
Yeah. Chills.
Right, it's like a punch to the gut.
And the realization that Mr. Charrington, that harmless old shopkeeper, was a thought police agent all along, it just shatters any sense of security. You know?
It really does. It shows how deeply the party's control penetrates every aspect of life.
There's no escape.
It makes you wonder, was there ever really a chance for them?
That's the brilliance of Orwell's writing. You know? He creates this glimmer of hope, this possibility of resistance, only to crush it more effectively.
Like he's playing with our emotions.
He is, and it mirrors the way totalitarian regimes operate. They offer these fleeting moments of freedom
Right.
just to maintain the illusion of choice while they're tightening their grip.
It's insidious.
Totally. And then comes the Ministry of Love,
Ugh.
which is such misnomer.
Oh, yeah. Talk about irony.
It's where they take Winston and Julia to be tortured and brainwashed.
It's like the opposite of love.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of doublethink in action. The party twisting language to mask its true intentions, the Ministry of Love, is about crushing love.
Breaking down human connection.
Exactly. Replacing it with loyalty to Big Brother.
And then there's the betrayal by O'Brien.
Oh, O'Brien.
The inter-party member Winston thought was an ally.
Yeah, the one he trusted.
And to discover that he was the mastermind behind the torture all along.
It's a crushing blow for Winston and for the reader.
It really is. It shows how the party uses trust as a weapon, manipulating individuals into believing they found someone who understands them.
Only to betray them the most devastating way.
And the torture scenes are just brutal.
Hard to read.
I mean, the physical pain is one thing, but it's the psychological manipulation that really gets to you.
They force Winston to deny reality, to accept that 2 + 2 = 5 if the party says so.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. And think about the implications of that. If you can be convinced to deny what you see with your own eyes.
So reject your own logic?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then what's left? You become a puppet, completely controlled by the party.
And even in that state of, brokenness, Winston clings to his love for Julia.
Yeah, he thinks it's the one thing the party can't touch.
But then comes Room 101.
The ultimate horror.
It's not even about physical pain anymore. It's about psychological torment.
It's about confronting your deepest fear.
And being forced to betray the one thing you hold dear.
To save yourself.
And for Winston, it's rats.
Yeah, and to escape that fear, he betrays Julia, begs them to torture her instead.
It's heartbreaking, to see him reduced to that level of desperation.
It signifies the complete annihilation of his spirit. He's no longer capable of love or loyalty or resistance.
He's just a shell.
A shell ready to embrace the party's ideology, even if it means betraying everything he once believed in.
And that's what makes the ending so chilling.
Right.
Winston is released, he encounters Julia, and there's nothing left between them.
They're both broken, turned into emotionless drones.
It's like the party has sucked the life out of them.
It shows the devastating impact of their control. It's not enough to force obedience. They have to eradicate love, compassion, any form of human connection that might challenge their authority.
And then that final line, he loved Big Brother.
Haunting.
It's like the ultimate victory for the party. They haven't just broken Winston's body, they've reshaped his mind.
It was emotions.
Yeah.
It's his very identity.
It's terrifying.
It is. And, it makes you think about the world we live in today with all the propaganda and misinformation and the attempts to control the narrative.
It's like Orwell was giving us a warning.
I think he was.
1984 is a powerful reminder that we can't take our freedom for granted.
We have to be vigilant, we have to question authority, and we have to fight for what we believe in.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into 1984. It's been
intense one.
Yeah, definitely intense, but also really important, I think.
Absolutely.
And it's a book that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
That's for sure.
So keep those minds open, question everything, and never stop fighting for a better world.
Hear, hear.